Hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we will be going over the new 100% critical strike chance methods and how good they are. So I had been wondering a little while ago when something else that would boost critical strike chance would come into Dauntless. While the Aether Drive tonic was broken, I thought, having a critical strike chance boosting tonic wouldn't be too bad right now. But now we have been given Tenacious, the new cell that grants 1% critical strike chance for every 50 shield you have. And this means that Skarn weapons can very easily achieve 100% critical strike chance. The verdict on it at the moment is that it's still not as good as running, say, Hellion weapons or Riftstalker weapons, and that's because it still takes a little bit of time to get up to this 100% crit chance. Another issue with these builds at the moment is that it's pretty hard to put one together that makes a ton of sense. When the prismatic slots on the Terra weapons come out, this will be a little bit easier of a feat, as well as when we get the Terra escalation boss's armor, it should have a Tenacious built into it, which would make these builds just a little bit easier. So let's start off going over a build that would work for Strikers, Chain Blades, and Warpike. I'll give you two versions of this build, the maximum HP edition as well as a half-life edition. So we have the Skarn weapon with Cunning and Tough inside. We have the Drask helmet with a Tenacious cell. We have the Rezakiri chest piece with Catalyst inside. The feet piece, we are going to have the Nasher boots with Tenacious inside. And then your choice of lantern, Pangar is generally the best with Catalyst inside. On this maximum HP edition build, the gloves are going to be interchangeable as to whether you want to run Predator or Overpower. For a maximum HP Predator build, you will run Malkarian gloves with Predator inside, and for an Overpower build, you will run Torgadoro gloves with Overpower inside. In my opinion, the longer the hunt is going to take, the more you want Predator over Overpower, although Predator is also kind of weird to run because you have so much shield, your brain tells you, oh, it's not too bad if I get hit here, but you do lose 35% damage if you do. So in the cases where you feel like you're going to get hit, it would be better to run Overpower. Warpike builds should actually probably run the Quillshot chest piece instead of the Rezakiri chest piece and just go all in on Savagery. I also made a half HP build edition in which you are trading the extra damage from Tenacious and replacing that with damage from Rage. It is again the Skarn weapon with Cunning and Tough inside. We'll have the Shroud helmet with Tenacious inside. We have the Rezakiri chest piece with Catalyst inside, and the Torgadoro gloves with Discipline inside, and the Charog feet with Tenacious inside, and your lantern will have Catalyst. The major issue with these builds currently is that we are pretty limited on our armor piece selection, particularly for the maximum HP build. The armor piece selection is pretty bad, and due to the defense slot on the Skarn weapons themselves, having to run at least 1+3 tough cell is kind of meh, and on the maximum HP edition, it's kind of better to run the 6 tough if you are going to also want to run 6 catalyst, and that's kind of why there is 6 tough on there. But the sword, hammer, and axe actually have this a little bit easier, because you are actually able to fit 6 Rage Hunter into a sword, axe, or hammer build, while also having 6 Cunning, 6 Predator, and 6 Catalyst, as well as 6 Tenacious, because the power slot is on the Skarn weapon instead of the technique slot with the Strikers and Chain Blades. But let's take a look now at why we would consider these builds not to be worth all too much when looking at the metagame of Dauntless. One of the issues is the weapon that we have to use in order to get this 100% crit chance in the first place. The Skarn weapons themselves don't contribute all that much to your DPS. When you compare it to a Hellion weapon, the Hellion weapon contributes around 30% or more multiplicative DPS. It depends on what weapon you're using, but that is quite a lot of extra damage from the unique effect. And that's without any cells influencing those numbers. And without any cells or anything influencing the Skarn weapon, its DPS provided from the unique effect is 0. The other downside we have to consider these weapons in the meta is that you effectively get a -6 to your perk economy when using these weapons. Even though you can throw Tough in that defensive slot to get a small boost to your attack damage from Tenacious, if you're running only 3 Tough, that boost is only 2%, whereas a Hellion weapon or Torgadoro bonded weapon can give you an extra 20 or so % damage from that slot. And you might think it's a little bit unfair to compare a prismatic cell weapon with a non-prismatic cell weapon, especially when those prismatic cell weapons are right around the corner. But Skarn weapons also just do miss out on a potential 30% damage damage anyway, because they have weighted strikes or knockout king, whereas Hellion weapons have overpower. And overpower has the highest damage increase besides savagery. So when you stack up those two things, having an overpower already built in and having 30% or so multiplicative DPS, and that's why low life Hellion builds are still going to be better than tenacious Skarn builds in the metagame. But I do want to stress that these builds are not bad. They are actually very fun to play, and they can actually be particularly good when you are running virulent impact in shock escalation. And thanks to the new passive skills that are available, you can actually gain an extra 9% critical strike chance, which just lowers the amount of shield you need to generate in order to achieve 100% critical chance. If you were to get a god run of amps where you have transcendent spite and virulent impact available to you, that would be able to outpace many of the builds you would be able to come up with otherwise. But that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, consider leaving a like on the video. If you enjoy Dauntless content, consider subscribing to the channel where I post Dauntless content every week. I've been Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, and I will catch you guys next time.